Hello, winter enthusiasts. Winter is still hanging around. Not quite for this weekend, but coming back early next week. And then the outlook looks really good as well. So the last couple of days has been quite interesting. I've heard mixed things about conditions. There's been some stuff that's just scraped being in condition, and other stuff, basically the Norries, which has been really icy cracks, lots of useless powder, but pretty good conditions for November. Stuff that's been Clan Mitre, I think, is the most standout one to me. That is a big gamble going in there. And Churchill Buttress looked pretty decent as well. The Buckle looked not good. SENL looked not good as well. It's just the reliable stuff that's going. I imagine some of the high routes on the Ben got climbed as well. They're just not logged. That's what the Ben looked like yesterday. And we've got Kentul, Loch Nagar on the Sice blogs, and then Northwest, but not much change in the last couple of days. What I found is pretty hard and good snow cover, about 700 meters on north faces, and then all other aspects where the sun's been on it, you don't really need crampons unless you're above like 1,100, and even then it was still quite soft in the just like in the mid around lunchtime into the afternoon. But there's no point knowing that because it's all going to change into the weekend. I'm just going to quickly go over what did happen. It took a little bit longer for the high pressure to build, so this was Wednesday at 1 p.m. And from what we were looking at before, this high pressure was supposed to be dominating us all of Wednesday, and this basically allowed a bit more of northerly flow for a couple of hours. And this, just because it was a bit weaker as well while it was getting established, this was Tuesday at 6 p.m. It was allowed a bit more moisture to be brought in with it as well. So it was a good change, and then this was 4 p.m. It was finally getting established. A good change, so definitely keep an eye on everything. Better than it would have been with the original forecast. We also had Storm Connell, but that was named by the Dutch, I think, because it was going their way. It had a little impact on the south, but nothing really significant for us. So over this weekend, we've got this quite slow moving and wide low pressure system coming through. It's going to bring quite a lot of warm and moist air through Saturday and Sunday. Massive thaw to any lying snow. It's definitely not worth looking at anything this weekend. I can say that with a decent bit of confidence. You can look at the jet, it's just barreling lots of warm air straight up from the southwest, southwest, and everything is in pretty strong agreement that that's what's going to be happening. You see all these yellows are quite warm air that's coming through, and in the anomalies in the ensembles, you can see there's very little in the way of discussion. That the purples basically mean where there's less certainty around the area, and all the way through to Sunday, there's very little purple at all over the UK. So they're pretty certain that this is what's moving through. The interesting thing is what's on the tail end of this, because it's moving quite far north and quite far east, and it's quite wide as well. It's got to bring some colder air on the back side of it. Low pressure spin counterclockwise, and then as that moves through, there's still quite a lot of moisture in the core because it's quite warm, and that will hopefully bring some really nice colder air masses. And this is looking like it will be the regime from Monday morning through to Wednesday. So I'm going to break down Monday to Wednesday next. I would, if you can, pencil Tuesday in as the day to be. That one looks the most guaranteed, and Monday and Wednesday are currently a bit up in the air, but fingers crossed, I think Wednesday is looking a little bit more likely today than it did yesterday. So, at the back end of this low pressure system that's moving through, you can see the cold air coming back in with the northerly winds, bringing precipitation from the moist core, and this other band of low pressure is relatively weak, and it's meeting the colder air, and I do think that this first band should fall as snow since the cold air is still dominating, and that's into Wednesday. But from Wednesday afternoon, another much deeper and stronger pressure system is moving in, but I'll go through that outlook a little bit later. The ECMWF is saying something very similar. So here's the warm low that we've got moving through, the northerly air coming back through Monday, the first frontal system trying to push through on Tuesday, Wednesday, losing to the cold air, and then the deeper one spinning through and beating it. And this is the icon model. It shows it really well. These colors are very useful. So here's the colder air mass that we've just had move through. Here's the warm that we've got now. And if we move that through here, You can see very quickly the cold air coming back through on the northerlies, the first area of the frontal system on the weaker low coming through there, and then the stronger low really just raising the temperatures quite significantly. And this is Thursday lunchtime roughly. That's coming through. So I'm quite confident for Tuesday, and I'm optimistic for Wednesday, and we'll see what Monday brings as well. The UKV here has the temperatures, so this is 850 hectopascals, so just above the summit of the Ben. The really warm, moist area of the weekend, well above freezing on all of the summits, and then you can really quickly see the air mass changing super rapidly as the northerlies come back. Massive freeze, minus 10, 11, I've seen some 12s forecast through to Tuesday. Then the first area of warm coming through, there it's losing to the northerly winds, and you would see, if this range was a bit longer, the cold air coming back for a bit of Wednesday and then losing to the next area of low pressure. So how much precipitation will we be getting? So over the weekend we've got the warm air coming through, bringing quite a lot of moisture, a lot of thawing through Saturday, Sunday, and then the colder air comes back on Monday. And how much precipitation is that going to bring? This is what I will show you next. It's going to bring the most precipitation to the north, northwest initially, and then as it moves through, a bit more to the east coast. And it is bringing some amounts. If I put on the accumulation chart here for Tuesday, see the significant amount to the northwest of the country, with the east getting slightly less. And this should hopefully mostly fall as snow onto the mountains. The type of precipitation that we've got, you can see this is the colder air mass coming through. This is the forecast for Inverness as well. So if we're getting colder forms of precipitation for Inverness, you can just guarantee that's falling as snow on the mountains. This is the weekend that we've got just now, where this will be rain to all the summits, but this is what we're looking at. This metagram doesn't do different altitudes. You can take the premise that it's snowing at Inverness, so this will all be snow higher up. So after that, the mean spread of pressure is very significant, so I'm not going to go into too much details. Basically, there's very, very large amounts of uncertainty with what's happening, but what a few things I have seen for the weekend afterwards. So there's the low pressure coming through Thursday, lots of warm air coming through. Again, it moves through, and we've got a similar type of regime into the next weekend, where the back end of the low will be bringing some colder air with it. And we are sitting on the north side of the jet into the weekend after. As it stands, this is the GFS, and the ECMWF has a similar kind of plan, just putting us the jet running through the middle of the UK, so the northern parts of the UK staying slightly colder. So the other thing of note for the weekend afterwards is this high pressure blocking system over the Atlantic. Now this is quite exciting to see, as it has the potential of breaking into the polar vortex. And basically there's lots of cold air trapped around Greenland and the Arctic Circle, and the way we need to tap into that is some sort of blocking system, and this high pressure over the Atlantic would be exactly how that would happen. So high pressure spins clockwise, and as it builds, it just brings in a more northerly regime through that weekend, and just barrels all of the cold air straight through the country. This is a very extreme graph. This would be very, very ephemeral conditions, very cold to the lowest levels if this came through, but obviously this is very far away, and absolute snow dump. I just wanted to bring this up because if this chart comes through, we're going to have one of the best Decembers on record. Do I think it will happen? No, this is extremely optimistic. Well, I think it's optimistic. The ECMWF is a bit more reasonable with this is the high pressure blocking system here. You can see the polar vortex trapping all of the air to the north. It's building the high pressure. It's got it slightly further south, but it is still bringing some colder air with it. So the takeaways from today are we've got a massive thaw happening this weekend, a really short but extremely cold snap happening Monday lunchtime through to Wednesday lunchtime, with a band that is currently with a front that's currently forecast to fall as snow as it clashes with that cold air coming through Tuesday lunchtime. That's going to be significant amounts of accumulation if that does come through. and then through Wednesday evening into Thursday, a stronger low system will give us another thaw, and then from there it's pretty uncertain, but it looks like most of Scotland will stay on the northerly side of the jet stream, which will give us a kind of average to good conditions for early December, with the highest crags being in pretty decent condition, but nothing out of this world. And towards the end of the run, there's just some extreme, really extreme weather that a few have picked out. I'm going to do a bit more research into what the likelihoods of these are. I don't think it's going to be as good as the one today, but I think there's definitely something worth looking at towards the second week of December for sure. But thank you very much for listening.